I told you there was going to be more thrifting videos, and this is another one, except this time I didn't take you guys with me. I'm going to do some thrift flips. So today I went to Goodwill and I got this shirt. I can never pass up Halloween shirts, and I already have one similar to it, so we're going to do something fun to this one. And then this time I was able to find some jeans. These are Levi jeans, and I didn't really want black ones, but they were in my size, so I figured why not. We're going to do some fun things to these as well. And then there is some decor items that I have been wanting to make since Halloween is just around the corner, and I am a huge Halloween fan, so I will probably honestly keep these out all year long. But while I was at Goodwill, I picked up some books, and these are going to be turned into like spell books, potion books, and the plan is to kind of have them sit like this. I'm going to paint them and then put some wording on them. And then we're also going to do a craft. This is another Halloween craft. This is just some cardstock that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to turn them into bats. And then I plan to hang the bats on my wall. I'm going to do some big ones, some little ones, just kind of feel it out and see what I like. And then I guess I could tell you what I'm going to do with the jeans. With the jeans, the plan is to bleach one half of them. And these are way too short for me, so I'm going to distress the bottom of them and roll them up. And then I'm going to do some more distressing to them. Depending on how much I like the bleach on this side, I might do something on this side. I might like paint a design on it with the bleach, but we'll just see. As far as the shirt goes, I haven't really decided what I want to do with it yet, so we'll just have to see what this ends up looking like. Let's go. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into painting these books so that they will have time to dry, so I can put some lettering on them. The idea for this is to paint them black, but I want it to be textured because I want them to look kind of old and dingy, but I don't want them to be brown. So I'm going to use some salt to achieve that look. And then on the pages for the sides, you won't really see those. I am going to use brown. These are the Waverly chalk paints. They're just from Walmart, but they're one of my favorites because they dry matte, and I really want these books to be matte rather than glossy and shiny. So I just have a little cup, and I'm going to find a brush and mix in some of this black in here. One of them's already open. Oh, it's that one. I'm just doing this so I can get the salt in it. I'm not really sure how much I need to use, so we're just gonna play it by ear. Okay, now that that's in there, we're gonna take our salt. I'm gonna mix that up and see if we like it. This paint is really thick and it dries super fast, which I love. I have a piece of paper here so I can see if I like the texture. Oh, we could add it even more. I'm sure you could use any salt for this. I don't really know. My first thought was sugar, but you don't really want to have sugar sitting in paint in your house. Unless you want bugs everywhere. It's probably kind of hard to see the texture through the camera. We're just guesstimating for everything. And if we find any mishaps along the way, we'll just go with it. I'm just going to go right in on top of the book. And these are just paperback books that I got from Goodwill. I tried to get various sizes so that they would stack on top of one another nicely. It's already starting to dry. I love that. It makes working with paint so much easier when it dries faster, because then there's not as much waiting time and you can just get on with the craft. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a little texture in it. I know it's super hard to see. And I'm going to do all the black first, and then we'll go in on the sides. You can see the writing. I guess I probably should have got ones that didn't have writing on them. A little mishap, but we'll make it work. Let that one dry. And I'm just going to do the same process for all the rest of them until I'm done. I have gone ahead and painted all of my books black, and you can see the texture in some of them. I went ahead and ended up adding even more salt so that I could get that look. I really only wanted it on the ones that you'll see the most, so the one that's going to go on the very top has quite a bit more than, you know, other ones like this one, because there's going to be a book stacked on top of it, so you're really not even going to see it anyway. Really the purpose is just to see the sides of them. So I went ahead and made that one look all good for the top, and I also didn't paint the bottoms because those aren't going to be seen either. But I want to go ahead and paint the sides now before I go in with the lettering. This is the same Waverly chalk paint that I used for the black, but this one is in shade Hazelnut. It's a nice brown color, and I'm using a really coarse paintbrush because I don't want the lines to be defined at all. I want it to just be sporadic, and this is the perfect brush for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the book, and I'm going to run it across the sides with no real purpose at all. The messier the better. I don't want it to look like it was planned or was supposed to look that way. Now that I have my books all painted on the top and the sides, you can see I added that brown paint, did some distressing to it. And you can even kind of move the pages around a little to separate the bigger globs. Just get it real nice and old looking, because I don't think any of these books were old books. And then they're going to sit something kind of like how I had them in the beginning. And I have the lettering that I want to add. I did it on my computer and printed those out. It's really hard to weed small lettering like that, so it probably took me a solid hour and a half just to weed those letters. But I left my paint pens at my parents' house, so we had to improvise. Okay, Okay, I think I'm going to start with the big ones first. So these big ones are going to say Hocus Pocus. And then I also have some string that I'm going to wrap around them and then secure it with some E6000. If you craft and you don't use E6000, you're really missing out because this stuff is a lifesaver and it works so good. Okay, so I'm gonna take my, oh that's the wrong one. This one says Hocus. Gonna set the book up on its side and we're gonna start at this end. And you kind of have to be a little careful because since I did use matte paint, the chances of this pulling the paint off is kind of high. So I'm gonna try to reduce the amount of transfer tape that I have on there. And it really wouldn't matter if it pulled some paint off because I like it looking old and dingy, but I don't want it to look tacky in any way. I can always touch it up if I need to. I'm gonna go all the way to the end. Now I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm not gonna do any measuring. Then I have the little scraper that came with my silhouette. I'm going to secure it on there. And then peel it off. And the trick to peeling off these things is go at a hard angle. Press it down a little bit afterwards to make sure it's on there nice and good. Since I'm not going to seal these, usually I would seal something like this, but I want them to stay matte and I don't have matte sealer, which you can buy. Okay, so after you get it on there, that's what it looks like. And you can tell some of the paint has come off kind of like there and a little bit down there where I accidentally scratched it. That's totally okay with me. I like it. I think it gives it a little bit of character. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these and then we'll be back. Little switch up here. So I've changed into shorts that I don't care if I get bleach on them, and also a shirt. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is everything you're gonna need. So a bowl, some bleach, I use some painter's tape, and a bag. That's definitely preference. And then some gloves. So before I put my gloves on, I'm going to go ahead and start sectioning off where I want to be a different color. So I want my left pant leg to be the one that's bleached. So I have learned with trial and error with bleach, so we'll see how this one goes. But I only want it on one side, so I'm going to zip these up. And once you put bleach on denim or really anything, it doesn't just stop, it just kind of keeps going. So I'm going to go ahead and put the tape a little further over than the center line, just so I know when to stop, so that when it does fade, it'll fade into this. It won't be like on the other side. I did a pair of shorts a while back, and I just put the tape down the center, and when I did that, I dunked it all the way until the center. It bled onto the other side, and I didn't really enjoy how it looked. And I don't have the thick painter's tape. This is the thinner one. So I think I'll go over about an inch just to give myself some room. I can always go back and add more if I need to, but I just can't take away what it colors. I'm gonna go ahead and do that on both sides. I'm gonna double it up, make it a little thicker since I don't have the thick painter's tape. This is more or less a guide. It's not gonna really stop the bleach. It's just, like I said, preference and trial and error. So then after I do that, I'm going to take the pant leg that's the side I'm bleaching. Okay, so this is the side I don't want to bleach. So I'm going to put this side in a Walmart bag, just so that if I make a big mess or anything, it doesn't get on this side. And I'm going to double that up as well. Then I'm going to tie it at the top. And to be extra safe, I'm going to put some painter's tape around the top of the bag. Now that I have everything blocked off that I don't want to be bleached, I'm going to put on my gloves. I try to always wear gloves when I work with bleach. One, for safety, and two, your hands smell like bleach for about 2 days if you don't. I'm just gonna pour a generous amount into this bowl. So the last time I did this, I made the huge mistake of leaving it in the bleach for too long because I wanted it to be super, super white, and it made the denim real weak, and so when I touched it, it just ripped apart, and I had to throw those away, which I was pretty upset about because I had spent a couple hours distressing them already. So we're gonna try to prevent that this time. I've got my bleach in there. I'm just gonna take the pant leg and submerge it into the bleach and press it down so that it soaks it up. And you can already see it's starting to turn orange in a few places. I'm hoping I can get these to white. I'm sure they will end up staying orange, which is kind of cool because I love Halloween, so black and orange, and I'll wear them year round. I'll move this a little closer so you can see as it changes. And it starts to get real warm once it starts activating inside the jeans, and then you can see the bleach turns kind of a nasty brown color. Also, the last time I did this, they got so hot from the bleach activating, they were steaming. So that's how I knew I had definitely messed up. I also left them unattended. This time I'm gonna stay here with them. And I'm only pressing them down to that line that I made over here. I'm not going any further. I'm not putting the tape under the bleach or anything. Ooh, they are turning white. Cool. Sometimes it also depends on what brand bleach you're using, and even obviously the fabric. Some just take a lot better than others. I'm gonna do this for a little while and then I will be back. I went ahead and washed them out. After you're done with the bleach, you want to wash it really good with cold water immediately and get all that bleach out of there. None of the parts actually ended up turning white. It was just from, I don't know, the chemicals, I guess. It was just in the water. Oh man, it still got on the other side. Oh well. Oh wow, it really got on the other side. Okay, I don't really know how that happened. If you can see, the top of it got lots of bleach. The bottom of it got some. Darn. I think even the butt got some. Not as much. Since that happened, I think what I'm gonna do is add some bleach to the other side. It is kind of cool how it's orange. So I'm gonna add some bleach to this side. See, it even got, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I don't really know how that happened. I'm gonna add some more bleach to this side and then rinse it out and then throw them in the wash. and then I'm gonna decide if I want to add dye to them or if I just want to go ahead and cut them. I went ahead and washed the jeans that I bleached, and after that, this is how they came out. They look way green yellow on the camera, but they're just like a pale yellow. Wow, they really look neon. And I'm not a huge fan of yellow, so new plan, since this didn't work out quite like I thought it was going to. I could probably bleach them again, but I'm kind of scared to do that because I don't want them to get too weak, so we're not going to do that. I have some cherry red RIT dye, and I'm going to take a big tub and fill it with as hot as water as I can get. Pour some of this in there, set these babies in there for I think about a half an hour to an hour, and then we will check back in and see what these look like. Hopefully better than this. Oh, my finger was locked. These are what the jeans look like after we dyed them and washed them. I already started cutting them a little because I forgot to hit record. So they're mostly red now, but that's okay. They kind of look cool. I like the black in here, and the back looks really awesome. And I can always add more black in if I want to. But I wanted to go ahead and start distressing them just to get a feel of what they're going to look like. So what I did for this knee hole was I put them on and I marked where my knee was when I was standing up straight and when my knee was bent, and then I just cut a little above and a little below that so that my knee can comfortably move around and it's not getting stuck. I previously did this on another pair of thrifted jeans, and I love the open knee hole because that's one thing I hate about jeans. I just don't like how they're so tight around my knees, and so having that open area, I don't know, I just think it looks cool and it's actually really comfortable. So I just cut this out, and all I use is a box cutter. A lot of people like to use scissors or like that little precise thing that I was using for the shirt, but the box cutter gives me more jagged edges and it makes doing this a lot easier, and it also kind of begins to fray it before you even start yourself. So it gives you a little head start that, you know, scissors or something more precise isn't going to give you, and that's kind of my trick. I also like to use sandpaper. I use a couple different grits. This one's a little thinner and this one's thicker. So then after I cut the hole, I ran the sandpaper around it, and it gives it kind of that fluffy edge, and it also will help you pull out these fibers a little bit better. Then up here I just made I guess 4 cuts. So it starts smaller, gets a little bigger, and ends smaller. And then I just go in and I pull out all the little fibers between it. So on denim jeans, you'll be pulling out the blue and leaving the white. That's what leaves that distressed look. Leaves those white fibers in there that's still connected to the jeans, and you're just pulling out the colored fibers. So with this, on this top one, my first cut was smaller than my second cut, so I can only go as far as my top cut. That's why this doesn't fray all the way to the edge of the second one. So you have to kind of think about what shape you're looking for. So you can always make all your cuts the same and then it'll be one big fray. Or you can do it like this, where it starts smaller, gets a little bit bigger, and then goes back smaller, which is what I prefer to do. And then, like I said, you're just going to go in and start pulling out all those little fibers. And it is going to make a mess. And if you can pull some out like that, like the ones that are staying, it loosens up the ones to help you pull them out. And at first they'll come out one by one like that. And then they'll start coming out in bigger chunks as you progress. That was 2. This is the most tedious part, and the part that a lot of people skip. They just make the cuts and then wash them and then hope it looks like the jeans that you buy in a store. But this is the part that really gives it that grungy look, which is what I tend to always go for. You can always just leave a slit, but it's not going to be showing those white fibers. It will just fray on the ends, and we want this all the way through. It's a little harder to see when you're doing it on something that has been dyed like this, because now, whereas this would usually be white, it's the same color as the threads that I need to pull out. So sometimes you grab the wrong ones, but that's okay. This is why when I make shorts or jeans or anything like that, it takes me, you know, normally about a half a day, because eventually your fingers get tired from holding onto your tweezers. And these aren't a sharp pair of tweezers. These are an old pair of tweezers that I don't want them to be sharp because I don't want them to rip or cut the fibers. I just want to use them to pull them out. So I use only this pair, and it's specifically for making clothes. And I wouldn't recommend using a mini pair. It'll do the same thing, but like I said, your hand starts to cramp after a while, and if you don't have all this room to move around, I think it would make them cramp even faster. So like on this one where I couldn't go over all the way right here because my top cut was smaller, I can on this second cut because my bottom and my top cut are both wide enough. It's just something to be conscious of when you're kind of mapping out what you want to do. You can always extend a cut, so you could always start shorter, and then if you don't like it, which I have done numerous times, I've just opened it up and then pulled those fibers out that are still left. And sometimes as you get towards the end, you can even start pulling these down little by little, and it'll help pull out these a little bit easier. But you don't want to pull too hard or you're going to rip them, and then you're just going to end up with a giant hole that has nothing in between it, which is okay if that's what you're going for. You don't have to get every little bitty single piece of fiber, because when they wash, it will pull out those stray ones that, you know, you left in the middle or something like that. But the ones that are tightly packed like this won't pull out. The ends of them will just fray in the washing machine. So you can always leave those. I've done that before. I've just pulled out fibers on the ends and then left a little chunk in the middle, and then it stays there after you wash it. The thing that I love about making your own clothes is there's no rules, so you can do whatever you want, whatever you like, whatever's comfortable for you. And after you do it a few times, you'll get into a groove of doing it yourself and what you prefer and what your easy methods are. And you'll have all these little guys. I usually do this on my couch, so these are always all over my floor afterwards. So that's what that guy looks like so far. So I have this one more section. I am going to do a couple more cuts and then keep going on with this and then come back to you guys, but we can go ahead and cut these together. Let's see, I think I want to keep that the way it is. I'm going to go ahead and do some underneath this hole. And you don't want to cut what's behind it, so you can always put something between it, but I usually just hold it up in the air. And I'm gonna make all of these pretty similar. I usually will make it kind of taper off on the bottom a little bit. But I think we're gonna go ahead and leave them all the same length. And maybe do a little one. Let's see, I'm gonna roll these up. So we'll leave that one there. Okay, and then for up here, when I'm up here, I usually like to stay kind of on this side because you don't want to get too close to the middle. So let's make a big one. And you want to hold this up as well. You don't want to cut the pocket. I've also done that one too many times. Like I said, I kind of like it to taper off, so I started small. These are the same, and then I got smaller again. And maybe we'll do one little one right here. Just a little guy. Okay, I'm gonna pull all the fibers from those, then we will be back. Now that I've gone ahead and pulled out all the little threads, I'm going to distress the bottoms of these. Since they're going to be rolled, I want to distress this part of them. So in order to do that, you just take your box cutter, or I guess whatever you're cutting with, and you want to just cut a slit right on the end. You can cut several slits or one long one. This is to expose some of those threads so you can pull them out and get a distressed look on the bottom also. And I'm going to do that all the way around. You definitely want to be careful when you do this so that you don't cut yourself. See, little fibers will start to come out. Then I'm going to take my sandpaper, that is a bigger grit, and just run it along where I just cut. And you can see immediately it starts to pull it open. This is the same thing I did for the hole in the knee. You just want to make sure that you don't cut the seam right here. Then you get that frayed look on the ends. Then when I fold them up, we'll get some fun stuff going on down here. And this sandpaper is actually just from the Dollar Tree. And I think there was like 3 in there. I'm gonna go ahead and do it to this side, but even though I'm not going to cut any holes in this side, I still want the bottom to be frayed. So I think the next thing I want to do is go ahead and cut the pocket just on this side. And we're going to make just one big one, I believe. It can get a little tricky when you get over this seam. You'll just have to pull on it and it'll start unraveling, and then you'll pull out the fibers between. And you don't want to make these little sections too big because then it's really difficult to pull the fibers through. That's why I make several small ones and not just one big one. Then I also want to distress the pocket a little. And I'm going to do the same thing up here that I did on the bottom of them. Just make some small cuts in it. You can use this for anything that's thick like this, like on the belt buckles, the pockets, the cuffs. Anywhere that's like that, you just want to stay away from the seams. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that pocket and then wash them, and I'll show you guys the finished product. So this is the back craft that I was talking about. I just went ahead and took an image and I put a bunch of the bats on there so that I could have as many as I could on one sheet of paper. And I went ahead and loaded my silhouette. This is just kind of like a dumbed down version of a Cricut. It really only does cutting. It doesn't do any of the pencil stuff where it like draws and things like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I've already set all my settings to cardstock and it's plain, and I've already changed my blade. And I'm gonna go ahead, sorry, my laptop is having a heyday. I'm gonna go ahead and send it to the machine. When it's all said and done, they should come out looking a little like this. We had one little mishap. He was a little too far towards the end, so his wingtips got cut off, but I'll go ahead and move that in for next time. We're gonna go ahead and take all the bats that we cut out, and I don't want to make any holes in the wall, so I'm gonna use sticky tack to hang them up. But I want them to look like they're coming off the wall. So I'm going to fold them up on the first part of their wing. And then at the second part, I'm going to fold them back. This will kind of give them that effect that they're coming off the wall, so they're not just stuck on the wall. And then stick a little piece of sticky tack, roll it into a ball, and I'm going to stick it on the back. And now he is ready to be hung on the wall. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of these, and then I'm going to arrange them on the wall how I like them. For this shirt, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my go-to, which is cropping it and bleaching it. Hopefully we'll get some yellows with the bleach. So to cut it to the right size, I'm gonna go ahead and take this shirt, which I also got from Goodwill a long time ago, that it was just a black t-shirt, and I did the same thing, I bleached it. So I'm just gonna lay this one on top of the pumpkin one, so I know what where to cut it. So it looks like it's literally right under, okay, so it's right under the mouth of the pumpkin. So I am just gonna go ahead and go with that. And under here I have like a cutting board. Then I have one of these little guys. These make cutting clothes so much easier. I just recently got it, and now I can't stop cutting things. So I'm just gonna go straight across right under the mouth. I'm very challenged when it comes to cutting straight with scissors. So this has been a lifesaver for me. I'm just scooting it over so it'll be on the board. And it doesn't really matter what the bottom looks like, because after you wash it, it's gonna kind of roll up anyway. I'll show you what I mean by that. So this one did the same thing. Kind of rolls up on the bottom. This one was real jagged. But now it looks fine. For the tie-dye, I really never have any rhyme or reason for this either. I don't really want it to be swirly. So I think what we're gonna do, got some rubber bands. I'm just going to crinkle it up. Like I said, it has no rhyme or reason. Just kind of do something with that. And then throw some rubber bands around it. Sometimes I have an idea of what kind of tie-dye I want to do. Other times I just wing it and it usually turns out pretty cool. And the shirt was only $2, so if I ruin it, it's really not that big of a deal. And I'll wear it anyway because it has a pumpkin with eyelashes on it. Watch out, Stelly. Watch out, Bug. Okay, so we're gonna take what we just did. I'm gonna put it in the bowl. Put some gloves on. Sometimes I use a spray bottle. Sometimes I just pour it on there. Like I said, no rhyme or reason. So we're gonna take our bleach again, and I'm just going to pour it on top. And unlike denim, you can see that the bleach just kind of sets on it. So you really gotta work it into the fabric. And I didn't pour that much on here since the shirt is quite small. Maybe a little bit more. Now we just have to wait for it to change colors. Since bleaching this shirt was a major fail, we're gonna try something else. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna scrunch it all up. And it's darker because it is wet. I rinsed all the bleach out of it. Like I said, some fabrics just take it, some don't want to have anything to do with bleach, and of course this was one that had nothing to do with bleach. That's okay. We will make it work. Okay. So I am going to dye it with some black red dye. And I'm just gonna pour it on top. I flipped it over, so I'm doing this on the back, and then I want it to soak through to the front. Since there is black on the front, I don't want it to wash it out, but I want it to be noticeable. You can do a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it any. I'm going to stick that in a plastic bag and let it set for a little while. What's great about this stuff is you don't have to let it set for 24 hours like you would tie-dye. And this stuff is way more pigmented than any tie-dye I've used. It is indeed 2 days later, and I'm finally done with all my crafts and thrift flips, and I'm ready to show you guys the final results. So let's go ahead and get into it. After it's all said and done, it should look a little something like this. We had a little boo-boo there, but I went with it and I kind of like it. You can see the salt in the top. And then the sides. I love it. It's gonna go perfect in my little makeup Halloween-y room. These are the finished product with the jeans. They started black and then we bleached them. They turned yellow. I'm not a huge fan of yellow, so I had some red dye and this is how they turned out. I only distressed this left side because it was the side that was all red and I wanted to keep the whole tie-dye look going on here. For this outfit, I added a belt, a little buckle belt, because they are a little big, which is okay. I love this belt. And I wanted to stay with the whole Halloween spooky vibes. So I added these shoes with the skeleton hands on them. I got these off of Facebook a couple years ago. They took like 4 months to arrive, but I love combats, and these are now one of my favorites that I own. And then I added this hat, the Pennywise hat. It says we all float here, which is a plain basic black strap tank top. But the butt looks so cool with all the black up there. I may add more black in later, but I'm loving the way that it looks on the back for sure. And then the pocket that I distressed on that side. I'll have to remember that because a lot of times I stick my phone in my pocket and it falls out because I forget there's a giant hole there. Overall, I think they turned out pretty cute. It wasn't my plan of attack for them to end up looking this way, but that, you know, usually tends to happen. And if you just go with it, most of the time you end up loving it, and if not, they're from a thrift store, so, you know, you didn't spend too much money on them. But I am pretty happy with them, and this outfit is super cute. You could even put, you know, wear a long sleeve top and then wear this like a haunted house or something. Super happy. This is the final product of the bats. They're so cute, and it honestly kind of just goes with the whole theme I have going on here. I love them. Makes me think of that video of that little girl that goes, "It's freaking bats." I love that video. So stinking cute. I think I'm gonna leave them up even not around Halloween. This is how the t-shirt, the pumpkin t-shirt turned out after I tried to bleach it and it did absolutely nothing. I added some black dye to it. And I didn't leave the black dye in super long because I didn't want it to be super black like this. So it turned out kind of like a creepy brownish color, which I actually love. And I just went ahead and paired it with a pair of shorts that I made. These were black jeans that I turned into shorts a couple years ago, and I bleach dyed them, and it goes awesome with this shirt. Not to mention on the butt, I painted some little hands, some little skeleton hands. These are one of my favorite pair of shorts. And when I wear crop tops, I like to wear high-waisted ones so that there's not a huge gap showing, just a little bit. But overall, I'm super happy with how it turned out. And like I said, if you wanted it to be more black, you could leave it on there for longer. I left it on for about 30 minutes. But you could leave it on overnight and it would be much more dark than this is. But overall, I love it.